Channing Benson, Split's Experimentation Advisor. This video is about the integration between Split and Google Analytics that lets you use Google Analytics events in your Split metrics that measure the results of your experiments, or A/B tests. There's also a mode of the integration that lets you pass impressions, the results of Split get treatment calls, to Google Analytics for further analysis. But this video will concentrate on the part of the integration that sends Google Analytics events to Split. Here's our sample application. It's a simple issue tracker application where we can add an issue, we can close an issue, and we can delete an issue. And right now it's currently implemented to send those events for each of those actions to Google Analytics. So if we look at Google Analytics and we look at our event actions, we are sending events with the actions of issue added, when an issue is added, issue closed, etc., issue deleted. And so we're getting those events in Google Analytics. We also want to get them in Split. And there's a simple change to your SDK, your Split SDK configuration that will add that integration so that the SDK will use a plugin to send those events from Google Analytics to Split. Here's what the configuration of the integration looks like. We just add another element to the JSON code that's initializing our Split SDK factory, and it's this integrations element. And notice the type is Google Analytics to Split. And so that sends the Google Analytics events to Split. The one other thing that we have to add is this require of the Split Tracker plugin right on this line here. And those are the only two things you need to do, aside from making sure that you have the latest version, or at least the most recent version of the Split SDK that includes this plugin required by this line here. And there's links to the documentation for that integration at the bottom of this article. So let's see if those events are in fact coming to Split. If we go to our event type screen in Split, the integration by default adds a prefix of GA to all the events that come from Google Analytics. And we can see here GA issue added, GA issue closed, GA issue deleted. So making just a small tweak to our Split SDK configuration has caused those Google Analytics event to be sent to Split. So the context for our experiment, for our A/B test, is the issue tracking application I showed you earlier. And our product managers think that if we change the text on this button from create to add, that people will in general create more issues. And so we're going to run an experiment to see that. We've created this split. We have two different treatments, one where the text on the button is add, one where the text on the button is create, and we'll be rolling those out at a 50-50 percentage. So half of our users will see the add button, half of our users will see the button with the text create. So we've created the key metric for this experiment, issues added per GA anonymous, remembering that the hypothesis was that changing the text on the button will cause people to create more issues, so we need a metric to track that. And we're using that GA.issueAdded event, and we're measuring as a count of events per GA anonymous. That's the traffic type. So essentially this is anonymous users that come in through Google Analytics. So if we go to the Split and look at our metrics impact tab, and this experiment has been running for a little over 2 weeks, we can see the result is that our metric issues added per GA anonymous has increased slightly for the add versus create, but not to a level of statistical significance. So we've learned that it doesn't harm things to change the text to add. It may increase things slightly, but there's no real proof of a causal relationship there. Now another metric that we've created, so this demonstrates the use of properties for filtering. If we go back to our list of events, either in Google Analytics or in Split, let's look in Google Analytics, we can see that our events have the actions issue added, issue closed, issue deleted, but these events also have labels. And in this particular application, we're using a label that identifies the severity of the issue that was either added, closed, or deleted. And so that's additional information in that event. So for instance, if we go to Split, looking at the event types, and we look at issue added, and we look at some instances of that event, we can see that there's a property called event label, and that has the severity of the issue that in this case was added. So that means we can create a metric using that property. So for instance, if we look here at our list of metrics, we have this metric, high severity issues closed per GA Anonymous. So let's look at the definition of that. And we can see that again, we're measuring it as a count of events, and the event in this case is the issue closed event, as the name of the metric suggests. But the additional thing here is we're filtering so that only events where the event label is high will be included in this metric. So basically it's a subset of the issue closed events where it's only the events where the event label is high. And that's an additional feature of this integration that you can use in defining your metrics. So the takeaway here is that this new integration of Google Analytics and Split enables folks who are using Google Analytics events already to almost immediately get started with, by sending those events to Split, they can create metrics based on those events and then evaluate their features using the statistical analysis of those metrics over the life of the experiment. Hope this has been useful to you. I'm Channing Benson, Split's Experimentation Advisor.